Oh, the life of a millionaire. If you're like I was before I was a millionaire, you're thinking, oh, how great it's going to be once you get to a certain point and you no longer have to worry about money. You don't have any guilt about spending it. You're not worrying about where it's going to come from. You can get what you want when you want. It's just amazing, right? Well, if you want to know how the super successful do money differently, how to become financially free and create a financially free life you love, you're going to love today's episode. So let's dive in. So hi and welcome. I'm Annette Bau, founder of MillionaireSeries.com and the Millionaire Insider channel. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what millionaires with amazing lives do differently, how they do money, business, and life differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insights so that you can build a profitable business with more ideal, affluent clients, as well as how to win at the money game so that you have a financially free life you love. So today we're diving into the Affluent Master Budget. So let's face it, your ability to manage money is critical regardless of how much money you have. And the sooner you learn how to manage your money, especially if you don't have a lot of it, the sooner you're going to be on the road to financial freedom. One of the things I learned early in my career is the fact that people that have money get in the driver's seat of their business and life, and they're paying attention to what's coming in, what's going out. In fact, they have more insight, the vast majority of them, of what's happening on their life, especially the ones that not only become financially free, but remain financially free, than almost anyone else. They are paying attention to those little details. So, what I want you to understand, what you're going to learn today, is what you need to do to get in the driver's seat of your life so that you can do the same thing when it comes to your money and your life and anything else. All materials and intellectual property are copyrighted by MillionaireSeries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or provide investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold MillionaireSeries.com harmless. Results achieved are not achieved, and all international copyrights are reserved. For today's show notes, you can go to MillionaireSeries.com/1002. For all show notes tied to the wealthy life, you can go to MillionaireSeries.com/WLI. So please remember to click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes, my friends. So today's episode is sponsored by the Affluent Master Budget. You can actually go and get your Affluent Master Budget at MillionaireSeries.com/AMB. Again, the Affluent Master Budget, MillionaireSeries.com/AMB. Let's face it, if you want to create a financially free life you love, the first step is you got to learn how to manage your money. This budget is the exact one I have used with thousands of people who have a ton of money and people who don't. It works wonders. So again, MillionaireSeries.com/AMB. It's my free gift to you. I encourage you to go download it now so that you can follow along as we go through this training. So let's dive in. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create an itemized list of all sources of income. Where is your money coming from? Examples may include wages from your job or your career, earnings from a side job or a home-based business, dividend or interest income, rental income. Those are just examples, but wherever you have money coming in, that's what you want to track in the first area. And you'll see that when you complete the Affluent Master Budget. You'll see where you're going to put your income in. If it helps, do it on an Excel spreadsheet, and what you can do is create all the different sources that you can think of, and then when new sources come in, meaning you forgot about some source of revenue, then you can write it down. As you accumulate more wealth, your life is going to get a little more complicated, and sometimes you won't remember all your sources of wealth. So believe me, you're going to get there. Just start wherever you are and begin there, and then the next step we're going to dive into is expenses. The next thing you want to do is list all of your monthly expenses. So examples might include a mortgage or rent, utilities, food, entertainment, medical insurance, and anything else. If you have daycare, maybe you're paying for dining out, maybe you have other expenses that aren't listed on here, just create a list of everything that you have that goes out each month. The next step you want to do is you want to create your master budget. This entails separating out your expenses, your wants versus your needs. What do you want to have and what do you need to have? I share that I was a spokesperson for the local financial planning association here. And I went into a couple of different households where I had to help them get control of their budget. One of the people was losing their house. The other one didn't know if they were going to be able to keep it. And the first place we started was wants versus needs. I don't care how much money you have. You could be a multimillionaire. If you're overspending, we got to look at that. What are your wants? What are your needs? You might just be starting out. You might be struggling with a lot of debt. Again, what are your wants? What are your needs? Now, this was an interesting thing that happened. In the one scenario, it was a single woman and she'd been through a divorce, and this was on TV, so it's public information, but she was like, I deserve this. I work hard. Most people work hard. And then she said, he left me and I'll have what I want. You know, big screen TV. I mean, she had nicer things in that house than the producer of the show, who is very financially free. And I was laughing because the producer said, this is unbelievable. This is why she has no money. But I mean, she had everything, was just the top end. So again, wants versus needs. Now that doesn't mean you can't have some of the things you want. It's just a matter of we got to get clear on what is a want and what is a need. Things that you need to have, money for your mortgage, money for your medical insurance, money for utilities, those are needs. If you don't take care of the needs because you're spending all your money on wants, you got a serious problem. So in her case, she had a serious problem. She was looking at possibly losing her house because of it. Don't let that be you. So you'll see in the master budget, it's going to start off with fixed living expenses, and then it's going to sum that up, and then it's going to dive into variable living expenses. That's your wants versus your needs. Again, you can go to millionaireseries.com/AMB, but what I want you to do is download that, and then I want you to input all your income and your expenses into it. So if you're not really clear on exactly what it is, go through your checking account and your credit cards and put everything that you can think of in there. Then what I want you to do is start tracking it. So for the next couple of months, go through actually what you spent. At the end of each day, just make a log of it. Don't make it overly complicated. We just need to know that information, because that allows us to look at what is truly a need that you have to have and what's a want. And then what we can do is decide, okay, what is it that you want and what are you going to say yes to and what are you saying no to? The most important thing you got to realize is if you say yes to that brand new purse or yes to that new outfit, you're inherently saying no to something. We don't want you saying no to something such as utilities. A friend of mine just recently shared a story about a friend of her daughter's. They turned off the water. They didn't have water. They didn't have electricity for a couple of days. And the woman was saying, this guy makes like $50,000 a year. His partner makes like $30,000 a year. So $80,000, and they can't afford water and utilities. That happens when we're not clear on our wants or our needs. So just be clear on it. The other thing is you might say, well, I'm really good at this. I know exactly what my wants are and what my needs are. But the other thing we got to make sure we're doing is, unless you want to be living in a trailer in a poor area, you got to also be thinking about retirement. So you got to be putting money away. That's where it starts becoming about delaying gratification, meaning, oh, I've got to have this purse. Well, you say yes to this purse. Are you saying no to putting money away for retirement? Ideally, what we want to do is we want to work hard, do our job as far as what we're doing, earn money, and we want to be really focused on accumulating money so that we've got a nest egg, so that we have the ability to have revenue coming to us, we have income coming to us, so we don't have to work. There is nothing fun about being a Walmart greeter, and now they're supposedly getting rid of them, or having to do jobs. I mean, I share a story that walking in my neighborhood, and every now and then I see this woman that's doing yard work over at my neighbor's. She drives this really beat up old car, and she looks like she's about 70 or 75. She's having to do manual labor to meet her needs. We don't want that to be you. It doesn't have to be everything, but just start a little bit here, a little bit there, and before you know it, it'll become a habit and become so much easier. And then what happens is once you then become financially free, you're still paying attention to that. Like, what you're going to find as you get more money and you realize it requires work to get there, is that you start paying attention to it. You know, kids are always like, why won't you spend money on that? My son now, he wants to eat out every day of the week. I'm like, you don't eat out every day of the week. That's not how it works. If you need food, you can buy some of it at the store. You can go out a couple of times, but it's not a matter of that you get to eat out every single day. That's where we have to get. So we've got to learn that. The sooner we learn that, the better. All right, so some people, no matter how hard they try or you try to help them, just simply cannot budget. They're not wired for that, and they won't do it. So what I discovered in my 30 years of working with the top 1% and 2% of millionaires, and some that are very strong-willed, that aren't going to learn something that they don't want to learn, is you can backward budget. And what backward budgeting is that you go through your checking account and your credit card and determine, on average, what have you spent the last 3 to 6 months? So let's just say you spend $10,000 on average a month. That's what you get each month. So you take money from your savings or your investment account, put it over into your checking. You have $10,000 for that month to spend. As long as you're sticking within the number of what you can afford and what you need, it doesn't matter which way you do it. And then you don't have to micromanage what you're spending. But if you find that on the 20th of the month, you've already spent the $10,000, there's a problem, right? Then you're going to have to start paying more attention to it. You might want to be separating out those expenses from what you have to have versus what you want so that you're aware of it. And what some people do that have that challenge is they'll take their needs, and let's just say out of the 10,000, 7,000 is needs or 5,000 is needs. So they have 5,000 in needs, that goes out and that's paid, and then they have 5,000 in wants. Then they make sure that they've covered their needs, and then when the wants are done, if it's done before the end of the month, they have to wait until the next month to get their money. That's how you create a financially free life so that you're not overspending. So just be clear on that, because it can really be effective, but you got to make sure that you're not overspending just simply because you're doing it in a backwards way. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I love that strategy. Initially, if you're not used to doing that and you're just kind of used to buying what you want, you're going to find initially it's a little bit of a challenge. But as you get clear on it and as you get in the driver's seat of your business and life, you slow down your limbic brain, you go through some of these trainings that teaches you how to work with your prefrontal cortex so that you are making decisions from a rational, logical standpoint and not from an emotional limbic standpoint, it's going to be a lot easier. If you're having trouble right now, you need to go to like millionaireseries.com/105 on the worth barometer. Work on some of those exercises that help you to quiet down your limbic brain and help you get in the driver's seat. Because once you're in the driver's seat, then you see something you really want and you can push the pause button and go, do I really need it? Do I really want it? Or is it just kind of a whim? Is it something that I really don't need? And if it is, if that's the case, then don't worry about it. You don't really need to have it. Initially, it's going to be harder, but as you start forming new neural pathways, aka habits, it's going to become easier. And it takes between 18 and 254 days to change a habit, on average 66 days. So the first couple months it might be a little bit challenging, but as you get used to it, it's kind of like not overeating. You know, as you get used to not overeating and you feel so much better when you don't overeat, it becomes a lot easier. So just trust me on this one, it gets easier. And if you mess up, which we all may do at times, just slow down, get back on track, and have some fun with it. Look at it as like a game. You know, if you play like it's a game and you're observing it, it's a lot more fun than if you're like, oh, this is really serious, and if I don't do this, I'm going to be broke. And, you know, you cause all this stress that you really don't need. So just have fun with it and enjoy the process. So let's review. The first thing you want to do is you want to deposit all income into a savings account. Then you want to transfer your needs expenses, page 1 of the budget at millionaireseries.com/AMB, to your checking account. You then want to take out want expenses, that's page 2, and put those in cash. Start paying in cash. If you have a hard time sticking within a budget, this is so powerful, because now when you go to spend money on the wants, you only have a certain amount of cash. Somehow spending cash can be a lot more eye-opening than spending money on a credit card. I remember one time going to a grocery store and I took cash. I have never been so stressed in my entire life. Now, I know what some things cost, but like I have no idea how much tomatoes cost. Avocados, I know sometimes they're like per avocado and they can be expensive, but like I have no idea. I'm a really bad person. Like if I was on The Price is Right and they had produce, I would not be good to know that. But I'll tell you, when you go with cash, I was paying attention to everything, and I was so stressed out. The woman, when I got to the checkout line, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm doing an experiment for my community, and I have to pay cash." And she started laughing. But you pay attention to every single thing you put in your cart. It's amazing. This makes sticking to your budget much easier when you're paying your needs out of your checking account and your wants out of cash. At the end of each month, compare your actual budget with your ideal budget and identify where you got off track. Again, don't beat yourself up. As you're forming those neural pathways, you are gonna a little bit. Just stay the course and stay focused on what you want your retirement to look like. What do you want your future to look like? Do you want to be broke and living in a shack, or do you want to be maintaining the lifestyle of which you become accustomed? You know, if you have a challenge, drive through a real poor neighborhood and say, do I want to live here, or do I want to live in a house similar to what I'm living in now, or a nicer one? It's a real eye-opener to do an experiment like that. Identify what worked with your budget. So what worked, and where did you get off track? And more importantly, what can you do to get back on track? And then you want to create a plan for your next month's spending. That is so powerful and so important because it allows you to start getting clear on what worked, what didn't work, and what adjustments do you need to make. And then it becomes a lot easier. It's not stressful. And then you want to identify consequences for achieving your goal. What are you going to get if you do it? What's going to happen if you don't? So for example, are you going to go out to dinner on Friday? Are you going to get a massage? Are you going to go golfing? What is the reward if you stick with your budget over the quarter? Make sure you give yourself rewards and you have some consequence for doing it or not doing it lined up. That's very powerful. So there you have it. Wasn't that easy? You know, creating a budget should be kind of like doing a jigsaw puzzle. It's kind of like a game, and it's kind of like saying, okay, if I do this, then this, what about this? If you can look at it from that view, that lens, it becomes a lot easier. Whereas compared to if you're all stressed out about what you're doing, what you're not doing, how you're doing it, can be really overwhelming. So again, I want you to go to millionaireseries.com/AMB to download the Affluent Master Budget. And then today's episode is sponsored by our Affluent Masterclass. You can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent. Let's face it, if you want to serve clients, let's say you're building a business and you want it to be a profitable business with more ideal clients, working with affluent clients is critical. And what's awesome is that there are so many clients that need your help. I mean, I think now more than ever, there are people that so desperately need good advisors. And again, you can go to millionaireseries.com/affluent. And I'll look forward to seeing you on that live training. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/1002. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me for the Affluent Master Budget. I'm Annette Ba'u, founder of millionaireseries.com and the host of the Millionaire Insider channel. Now, before you go download the budget, millionaireseries.com/AMB, so you can start working on it. And then also you can click the link. That training is specifically designed to help you on the next level of where you need support. So again, click that, go download the budget at millionaireseries.com/AMB, and I'll look so forward to seeing you on the training. Bye for now.